My name is Jason, but I go by Professor Sports Cards, and today we're going to unpack five, there's only four there, five legendary cards that are just overpopulated. There's too many of them, so we're diving deep into pop counts and the values, and let's start now with one of the most iconic cards of all time, the 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. This is the first set ever from Upper Deck, and it's card number one. It's also, to add on top of that, the most graded card of all time. You can take a look on the right hand side. There's over 100,000 total graded in all grades of this 1989 Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. So again, on the right hand side is all the different grades. On the left is PSA 10. You see the latest sold prices for $2,000, and there are about 4,187 in that grade. And we see even the chart of the fluctuation. We're going to do this for every card coming up, so it's going to be very beneficial for you to stay tuned. Now just note, the PSA 10 is selling for $2,000, and there's 4,000 of them. Looking at the chart, what stands out to me is this card hits a floor. It never really goes below 1,500 and always bounces back up. In a PSA 9, it's a far different story. It's selling for $162. That's right, from $2,000 all the way down to $162. Well, why? Because there are 30,000 of them. This is the most graded card of all time with over 100,000 copies graded. And you see a lot of them. Majority are either in a PSA 9 or in a PSA 8, almost 70,000 copies combined. This card has been hovering around 200. Its floor seems to be $150. It's just so important to emphasize why. I mean, this is just, there's too many of them. There's way too many. It jumped from 2,000. There's already too many in a PSA 10 at 4,000, and now you're looking at 30,000 copies. This is one of the best baseball players of all time. It's literally probably the most iconic card since 1989. Is there a more iconic card you can think of in any sport? I cannot. And here it is in a PSA 8. Again, it's pushing 40,000 copies, just under. And it's selling for $56. It just crushes the price. So it's important if you're a veteran card collector, if you're new to card collecting, the pop count does matter. This card proves it. All the cards will show the same pattern. This one we have to dive a little deeper. So Charizard in 1999 was the first year Pokemon came out. It had several variations. This is the first edition, which is the most limited. There are just about 4,000 copies total. Of all the Charizards you want from the first year, 1999, this would be it. It's first edition. You see in a PSA 10, it's sold for over 240 grand. There's only 124 in the PSA 10. It's still a decent number. There's not only 2 or 3. So again, if you were to get a first year Charizard 1999, you definitely want the first edition holo. Even that has 4,000 copies. Now we're looking at Charizard, not first edition. You see on the card there's no first edition emblem. And there's 50,000 of these. So if you add, there's more than 50,000. If you add the first editions, there's 55,000, give or take. And those are the premium, is the first edition. There's far too many of these base edition Charizards to make it even more complicated or more. There's Shadowless, and they have thousands. Or Charizard has thousands of just base Shadowless, non-first edition, if that's complicated enough. So, yes, these Charizard cards really have only way to go, and that's continued to go down. You can see over the past couple years, it peaked at close to $2,000. It's hit bottoms as low as $800, and right now it's at $1,000. In a PSA 8, price has been a little more steady, right around $500 over the past couple years, give or take. You're talking about 10,000 of these in a PSA 8. I really don't care how nostalgic or how many people even play Pokemon. It's just too many. This card is gonna have a tough time staying at the $500 level. As much as I want a Charizard card and think Charizard cards are pretty awesome, you need the first edition. It's the only one that there's a big premium on because there's just 4,000 compared to over 51,000 in the base without, non-first edition. Unbelievable. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, is this fool about to tell me the Charizard and the Michael Jordan rookie are overpopulated? Well, let's find out. Michael Jordan PSA 10, there are 332 copies, not just 5 or 6. 332, however, it still holds up in price because of who he is and how collectible Jordan is. In the PSA 10, it's selling for right around 200 grand right now. Now, 2 years ago, this card hit $350,000, and it did fall as low about 6 months ago to 150 grand, and now the card is maybe steadying off at around $200,000 in a PSA 10, and you can see coming up in a PSA 9, there's just under 3,000 copies. In a PSA 9, it's currently selling for $17,700, down from 25 grand just 2 years ago. And if you don't think 3,000 copies is a lot, that's fair. I think it's too many to hold this price. But after that, in a PSA 8 coming up, there's close to 9,000 copies. In total, there's 23,000 Michael Jordan card rookies in all grades in the bottom left-hand corner there, graded close to 25,000. Over 25,000. It's just too many. Now we see the PSA 8. It's selling for just over $6,000. It reached close to 9 grand in its peak just a few months ago. It's really had a steady fall just in the past 3 months from prices of over $8,000 now under 6 grand. Now, it's hard to read this card. I'm just saying there's too many of them. There's almost 9,000 in this grade, and although Jordan's iconic and one of the most collectible players of all time, just a lot of these out there. There's one more iconic card coming up after this, but let's take a look at the Jerry Rice. He's the best wide receiver of all time. He has one rookie card, one rookie card only. That's this 1986 Topps. Let's get into the numbers. If you look at the bottom left, we're going to look at the totals. Now, there's 32,500 and change. Next to that, there's another, close to 1,500 and then 580. So all of those combined are the total number of Jerry Rice rookie cards graded, which would be right around 35,000 of these. Now, what holds the PSA 10 amazing is there's only 62. So 35,000 total graded copies, just 62 in a PSA 10. That's why it's selling for $66,000. A couple years ago when the market was crazy, it hit peaks of 120,000. It seems like 60,000 is the true value of this very rare Jerry Rice card in a PSA 10. Now in a PSA 9, there's more than 10 times the amount in that population. There's close to 1,100 in a PSA 9, and the price went from $66,000 because it's very rare, just 62 of them, and it dropped all the way down to 2 grand. Now that's still a heavy price, and there's almost 1,100 at $2,000. This seems like a good ratio. This is an iconic player, one of the best football players, maybe the best football player of all time, an iconic card in great condition. PSA 9, and yeah, it seems like 2 grand for 1,000 of them. Now in a PSA 8, the price comes heavily down. There's now 13,000 in a PSA 8. It's the highest copy or the most common grade, 13,000 in a PSA 8. It's selling for just around $200. You can see all the sales. This card is sold quite a bit. And you can see more people can afford this. This is the affordable version. In a PSA 8, it's $200. And the card just continues to fall into oblivion after this. In a PSA 7, there's 10,000 copies, and it's a $60 card. You're talking about one of the most iconic cards in football. It's got to be a top 5. Definitely, no doubt. And you're talking about getting it for $60. It's just because there's too many. And thinking back just to the Jordan pop counts that we just saw, this isn't all that different. And you're looking at the first 15,000 Jerry Rice cards selling for over, $200. So now looking at the next best 10,000 copies graded, which happened to be a PSA 7, it's down to under $60. I mean, the Jordan card will never fall that low, but it has some room to fall. And it also shows you that, Jordan is just more sought after than Rice. He's more in demand. I don't know if that's an NBA, NFL thing where you're looking at vintage more in NBA, but these are both legends and the best at their field. Now, the last card we're looking at might be a surprise. This is an old card, 1968. This is vintage. It is Nolan Ryan's rookie card. In a PSA 10, there's just one of them out of 12,809 copies graded on top of 3,000 more. You're looking at 15,000 total copies graded, and there is just one in a PSA 10, and that's why it holds the price of over 600 grand. That sold back in 2020. Card Ladder has this thing, it's selling at over 1.5 million if sold today, and who knows, the sky is the limit. There's just one of them. In a PSA 9, it's still relatively rare with just 69 copies. We can learn a lot from this card. The first 70, there's one in a PSA 10. Now we have 69 in a PSA 9. And it shows that a legendary rare card can still hold value. What is rare, though? What's the definition? Well, right now we're looking at the best 70. There's one all by itself, and here's the next 69, and it's still selling for 100 grand. This was just on October 1st, 2023. Now the pop count grows, though. In a PSA 8, we're looking at 753 of them. What's that going to do to the price? Well, from a $100,000 card all the way down to a $7,000 card, a $93,000 difference, and it has nothing to do with PSA 8 and PSA 9. It has to do with the pop count. There's only 69 in a PSA 9 and one in a PSA 10, so the top 70 in grade are from PSA 9 and 10. Then now we're looking at 753 of them, and it's great that that many cards can still hold a $7,000 value. That's good. That's good news for card collectors, but you have to be aware that as soon as that pop count jumps over, I don't know yet, between 70 and 700, there's a drastic shift. You can have a $100,000 card with a pop count of 70 or less, as long as it's rare as Nolan Ryan's one and only rookie card. With a pop count of 700, it becomes under a $10,000 card. And in a PSA 7, well, now we're looking at 1,700. So now we're in the top 2,500 of, best grade Nolan Ryan cards if we're counting PSA 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now we have a $2,700 card. So it's interesting. It takes a lot of research and a lot of just working with the numbers every day. And I really want to find out, Nolan Ryan proves that the top 70 in grade can still be worth $100,000. You still have a pretty rare card. Once you start getting to 1,000 or 2,500, you might have a $1,500 card at best, or a $3,000 card at best. And you best believe is the more we go down this list, the cheaper this card becomes, and you can get it in your collection. Because even at 1,200, there's how many plus 3,000? There's about 15,000 total graded, and that's just too many. So while the first 3,000 copies, the best 3,000, well, they hold $1,600 or more, and obviously the higher you go up that scale, the more expensive it got. And now you're looking at a PSA 4, which you could put in your collection for $735. There's over 2,500 in this grade, and now it's under $1,000 card. So it's the scarcity, it's how rare it is. Yes, that PSA 10 is in beautiful condition, but there's only one of them, and that's why it goes for that insane price. If you enjoy this style of video, you got some information, and you'd like to see another one, hit the like button so I know, and I'll make more. Subscribe if you haven't yet. My name is Jason. I go by Professor Sports Cards. Check out some of my other content. Put a lot of effort, energy in trying to make quality sports card content. Thanks for watching.
What up, everybody? This is Robert Horry, a.k.a. Big Shot Bob, and you're watching Professional Sports Cards. Hey, by the way, go buy my rookie card.